Welcome back to Reflections Unfiltered. Today we're perched right at the edge of the penthouse, watching the world below shift in ways that, honestly, I don't think any of us could have predicted even a decade ago. I mean, 2024 has been a year of records, and not the kind you want to hang on your wall. Heatwaves torching North America, Europe, China, crops withering, blackouts rolling in like summer storms. And then you've got floods in places like Central Africa, India, Germany, Brazil, millions displaced, infrastructure just drowned. It's like the planet's rewriting the rules as we watch.
Yeah, and what really gets me is how these so-called stable zones are suddenly anything but. Morocco, who'd have thought you'd see a significant earthquake there? Or New Jersey, for that matter. I mean, I spent years analysing risk maps, and those places were always coloured in as safe. Now, it's like the ground itself is saying, nope, not anymore, and then you add in volcanic unrest, Philippines, Iceland, Kamchatka, Indonesia, plus the geomagnetic weirdness like the South Atlantic anomaly, expanding, poles migrating faster than we can track. It's not just climate, it's the whole geophysical system acting up.
It's as if the Earth's shaking off her old skin, isn't it? The illusion of normality, gone. I keep thinking about how we cling to the idea of average weather, as if the past is a promise. But the past is just a story we tell ourselves to feel safe. Nikki, you had a story about that, didn't you? Something about a hailstorm in Colorado.
Oh, yes, I was maybe 12 training with my aunt. She's the one who taught me meditation and, well, how to take a punch. We were in the middle of a summer session, barefoot in the grass when the sky just cracked open. Hail the size of golf balls, smashing the garden, the neighbours' crops, everything. It was supposed to be a normal summer, but that day I learned that normal is just a lull between surprises. My aunt just laughed, said, "Nature doesn't care about your plans, love." And she was right. That lesson stuck with me, especially now when the world feels like it's in permanent flux.
That's the thing, isn't it? Like, we keep looking for patterns, for stability, but the patterns are shifting under our feet. What we're seeing now, record heat, floods, earthquakes in the wrong places. It's not just a blip, it's a new baseline. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to get caught out.
Or, as the poets say, the centre cannot hold. But maybe that's not a tragedy. Maybe it's an invitation to adapt, to see with new eyes. Shall we talk about what happens when the dominoes start to fall?
Right, so let's talk about the domino effect. When one system goes down, it's rarely alone. You get grid failures, urban blackouts during heat waves like we're seeing in the US Southwest, India, parts of Europe. Then food and water scarcity kicks in, and suddenly you've got social unrest. And the insurance industry, they're not waiting around. California, Florida, insurers are quietly pulling out, leaving entire regions unprotected. It's a slow motion retreat, but it's happening.
And it's not just the US. The UK could be facing winters of frozen fog if the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, the AMOC, shuts down. That's the current that keeps Europe mild. If it stalls, you're looking at bone-dry famine in West Africa, biblical floods in the eastern US, and the North Pole turning into a seasonal spa. It sounds like science fiction, but the models are getting more urgent every year.
It's a mythic scale of upheaval, isn't it? The kind of thing you'd expect in old legends, except now it's insurance policies and migration patterns instead of gods and monsters. I keep thinking about how, in every apocalypse myth, there's always a figure who survives by remembering the old ways. So, what do we do? How do we adapt when the grid goes down and the supermarket shelves are empty? Nikki, you've spent time with pre-industrial skills. What's your take?
Honestly, I think there's a lot to learn from the past. My aunt used to say, "When the Wi-Fi dies, the monks will be laughing." She wasn't wrong. Things like water filtration, growing your own food, even just knowing how to keep warm without electricity. Those skills aren't just nostalgia, they're resilience. And it's not about going full survivalist either. It's about community, barter networks, sharing resources, looking out for each other. That's what kept people alive before, and it's what will keep us going if things get rough.
Yeah, and you see it already. Vertical farms, aquaponics, people investing in highland agriculture, even insect protein is getting attention. The rich are watching migration signals, building their lifeboats in the highlands, but for most of us, it's about local resilience, solar panels, water filters, heat-proof sheltering, and like you said, Nikki, community. Because when the grid goes down, Venmo's not going to save you.
It's almost poetic, isn't it? The end of convenience, the return of connection. Maybe the real myth is that we ever had control. But we do have agency in how we respond, in what we choose to remember, and in the stories we tell about survival. Speaking of stories, let's talk about how narrative shapes our future, especially when the world feels like it's coming undone. Stories are survival tech, aren't they? When the world tilts, the first thing people reach for is a story, something to make sense of the chaos. But if we let panic or denial write the script, we end up paralyzed. If we own the narrative, we can adapt. That's why mythology is reborn in crisis. It's not just about doom, it's about evolution. John, you've seen how shifting the story can change everything, right?
Absolutely. Back in my intelligence days, I watched communities transform just by reframing a threat. When you tell people this is the end, they freeze. But if you say this is a challenge we can meet, suddenly you get innovation, local barter networks, aquaponics setups, even people learning to repair old tech. And with the tech risks we're facing, solar maximum, X-class flares, the 3i Atlas object out there in the dark, resilience isn't just about hardware, it's about mindset. The Carrington event probability is low but not zero, so you prepare, but you also adapt your story. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of the earth and start acting like a cohabitant, someone with a stake in the outcome.
That's so true. I mean, we talk about aquaponics and barter networks, but it's really about weaving new myths, ones where we're not just surviving, but thriving together. It reminds me of what we discussed in our episode on craftsmanship, how reviving old skills isn't just practical, it's a way to reconnect with meaning. And maybe, just maybe, that's what the earth is asking of us now. Not to dominate, but to adapt. To listen, to co-create.
So, as we stand at the edge of the penthouse, maybe the real question isn't, how do we stop the fall, but how do we learn to fly on the way down? The future's not written yet, and as long as we're telling the story, there's hope. Nikki, John, any last words before we close the book on this chapter?
Just this. Resilience isn't a solo act, it's a chorus. So keep learning, keep connecting, and don't be afraid to rewrite your own story. Thanks for listening, everyone.
And remember, the earth isn't dying. She's just evicting us from the penthouse. Let's be good neighbours, not noisy tenants. Until next time.
Stay curious, stay wild, and don't let the old myths hold you back from making new ones. We'll see you on the other side. Goodbye, Nikki. Goodbye, John.
Goodbye, Eden. Take care, everyone.
Cheers, both of you. Until next time.